We embrace our students. We help them discover whatever weaknesses they must have, because all of us do, but then show them a path to repair those. We walk the walk with them. And as our students will say, we know this faculty has our back. That's been happening well before I ever came here. And that commitment of the faculty and student success is very important, but also encountering students and asking very hard questions and helping students confront their weaknesses, not just be deluded by the myth that I'm excellent because they say I'm excellent. No, you're excellent, but you still fell on your face. Now I'm going to show.
New Orleans is one of the most African cities in the country, right? And there, within African spirituality and cosmology, there is an embodied knowing. There is a knowing that does not in you cognitively, right? And so it's really about feeling, and it's about doing what feels right versus what someone else tells you is or isn't right. And when you talk about New Orleans and when you talk about Black Catholic spirituality, what you're really talking about is the core of it going back to our people of the diaspora who come from a tradition that to the ancestors and to, it's a different cosmology, right? And so even when in New Orleans, you feel ever present, and we acknowledge
Xavier, we're also very busy people. Our professors, but our professors and our are interested in the larger questions that Xavier should be helping to address. Society, civil rights, justice. What does the Black Catholic experience in the larger Catholic Church? It has a lot to offer. We need to articulate that. To bring people who can speak and help us think through those conversations. Even the issues of the major bioethical questions that Xavier students will be interested in, are interested in, and faculty are interested in. There is expertise and wisdom that needs to be offered to the larger world. So in many ways, it is part of our speaking to the larger world through this and to our students by bringing those difficult questions and having conversations about on those themes. When we're in a very polarized world, universities, to use the metaphor of New Orleans, in many ways, one needs the neutral ground. Universities like Xavier can be the neutral ground. To have those difficult conversations, we need to have each point of view, but to show how we can have those conversations and move us forward. We need to be part of that effort. It's about rescuing our society.
I grew up in a predominantly white city. I was one of like 12 Black people in my take it anymore. I wanted to go to
And the reason why I chose Xavier University was because of my family and also because of the great history that Xavier has and the great stories that Xavier has created through progressing the African American community as well as other minorities.
I chose Xavier because I wanted to be around people that look just like me, and I knew their reputation of producing so many Black doctors.
When you walk into an interview and they see on your resume Xavier University, like a degree from any department, like that carries a lot. That says a lot about you.
Being a student athlete is so demanding. Like sometimes we in that gym, like we'll have class all day and then we in that gym, and then once we get in the gym, we in there for hour and a half, 2 hours.
Even though people think that just because we're NAIA, like it's not as serious, like we still have to go through the same stuff, same practices that the same other schools go through.
I am from Chicago, so we are very far away. It's not that easy to just say, oh, I'm having like a bad day, I'm gonna go home this weekend.
And just living with other girls, it opened my eyes to see how people they do things differently.
It's necessary for us as individuals to just be inviting and, you know, just let them know that, you know, we are there and, you know, it's not just, you know, it doesn't have to be so divided like that.
I've learned how to adapt to different cultures, which I think can take me a long way in life.
Xavier became home orientation week. I don't know what experiences y'all had orientation week, but my experience was very, very fun. I met a lot of friends who I'm still friends with now, including my peer deans. It's like, it was just a homey feeling.
When I would actually go back home to Chicago, I'm like, you know, I gotta go back to Xavier. I gotta go back home where I know, because this is why I adapted and developed my own sense of independence. So it became home for me.
When I became a peer dean and I had the chance to show people that were coming in,
Xavier, like the city of New York, it should not be here.
Troublemaker, and I would say that
we had some gorgeous voices, but they weren't welcomed here in New Orleans. They were still getting over this Jim Crow.
There were racial tensions, boycotts, sit-ins at 5 and dime stores on Canal Street.
And I had to make up my mind at that time who I was as a human being.
Education was empowering, especially for me as a woman.
It's what world that was given to you.
There's an old saying, you don't go bear hunting with a switch. But when you come and you to deal with it.
Joan Scott was somebody. And I would tell Joan all the time, back to church, Joan, you know. No, something the priest had done that he didn't. But John was smart. He was really a good artist, and he could tell you a story through his art.
If you came, he was going to teach you, you know, if you wanted to be taught, which was one of the beautiful things about Scott. Sister Lorena Neely was his teacher that he really adored. She would say, don't thank me, just pass on the information. I think it says about Xavier is that, you know, this is a tradition. This is something that has a connection. So when a student walks into Xavier, I'm not the only one. You know, there's a line that I'm a part of that these students are also getting, and that this line is an extremely important line in terms of a young African-American student or whoever it is, because Xavier never worried about what you look like. It was the fact that you can come in and you can work and you can learn.
It's what you do to make a difference in this world that was given to you to do whatever you want to do with it. And that's what John did in his work. You look at his work and you feel the spiritual things in his work. And that's what it's all about.
Somebody said, how did you stay 47 years as a president? And my comment always was, I hired people smarter than me and got out of their way.
I didn't have a degree that told you how many legs this spider had, how many legs that spider had, what kind of spider. It wasn't that classic biology, it was molecular. Mine was more in biochemistry. And the curriculum at Xavier had been modified for that, which was forward thinking. And so I went there, and that began the story of 35 years.
Dr. Francis realized that he wanted to attract a greater enrollment. He saw the need to educate more doctors, more scientists.
I went there in 78. We used to pray with the nuns. We'd say, let's pray we get majors. So many high schools and do all the students. You can major in chemistry
of what is now African American.
See, ours was not save as many of these to their full potential.
Early years and saying, next 4 years. Curriculum, but also want to have by the time you are.
Some of them could have gone. Then I have a student who's going developmental way.
That intentionality of is what we think in a way that no one.
Good evening. My name is Jasmine Brown, Director of Admissions here. I want to. Now, when I say LAGNIAPPE, that's what we're hoping. I want to say congratulations over the next from a variety of your community. However, I would now when I talk about the process, this submitted your FAFSA. Deposit. If you haven't, be sure to submit your 100 and to live on. Now, when I mention health form, as you can have yours or XULA portal, where you started your application. Next steps. Yes. Hear from faculty, staff, and really encourage you to tune in have to offer. Be sure to check your student email so that because we're going to have some of our own Xavier students. Congratulations. Already made a deposit. Welcome home. See you here again.
All right. Good evening, everyone. My name is Brian Cooper. Night of LAGNIAPPE. This is a night of campus who will be speaking a bit of a and so to kick introduce themselves, starting on my right. And so first, Jordan, can you let us know about classification and major?
Lewis. I am a sophomore geology major.
Is Ya. I am a sophomore minor.
Minor.
You off of that, and so we'll be honest with us. Let us actually going to be coming here in the fall. Virtual experience of what. All right. So, I want. Next question is, why did you choose your major, and then also. Right, so yeah, you can go first.
I chose Xavier. I was getting ready to put in my deposit, and my mom was like, and then literally within, I texted my mom and I was like, this is where I want to be. I'm really going to Xavier. And but because I want the best way to go about doing that.
So I chose my major to be a teacher just within the understand more about their so and how colleges and stuff like that and get to be a part of Xavier's family. It was built on education in Native Americans, and one to like a symbol of.
Gotcha.
I chose sitting around. I wasn't thinking about going to Xavier, was thinking about different HBCUs. God said, go to Xavier's website. Listen, I came across public health. Major ethnic studies here. People informed about you, something I love. I'm going to do so many things. Geology courses, I've learned that we already have and see what needs to be.
Gotcha. And so last but not least, Jordan. Xavier.
So why? My initial first number one on my list. From there, I was going to graduate from there. You know, my fallback option. I was like, this is where I need school. Was really comfortable to like a college life. Xavier is probably one of the best decisions I've ever made in my whole entire life. Now for my major, like I said, I'm a bio-pre-med major. I have future aspirations of being an OBGYN. Initially, I came in wanting to go into pediatrics and be a pediatrician, but I know a lot of y'all have heard recently just about the high mortality rates. I've always had a connection with, and we landed up being OB. Xavier so far has just increased. I can, open my own practice. Yeah, that's really why I picked pre-med, and I feel like I said, Xavier has been doing all that it needs to do to get me set up to be prepared post.
And so and not only just do it for me, helping others to some. Xavier's mission statement, helping to make this society a more clear in reference to what they that are watching. First, you all know that if you have any questions for the panel while we're here this evening, you all can ask those questions in the chat. And so, as we continue, the next question that I have for you all is, for the most part, about and so who you by now. And so let's say here at Xavier through the resources that
we're really close knit because their minds work. So ups and stuff like that. So my advisor will email me about 3-4 times a week about different research opportunities, different internships, or if she's just viewing my classes, asking me how I am doing in these classes, and just checking up with me to see where I am along my process. And then it helps to get to know them because they can provide you with opportunities in the future. You have a connection once you graduate. Utilize undergrad to help promote yourself into your career. Like,
definitely. I'm happy they've kind of done what you're doing already. They've sat in the degrees out the way already, so you're definitely right about that. Elisa, what about you?
So being a public health major, you're required to take biology. It's getting a bachelor's in science, and I promise you that Bio Resource Center is gonna help you so much. Like, you might feel like, oh, I don't need it. I took biology in high school. I got straight A's. I promise you, Xavier. That first, that's what I did. See your teacher. Go see that you're trying. If the first tutor center, because there might be a tutor in there who meets your learning style. So keep going back, and then once you find that tutor who does meet your learning styles, make a connection with them, get their email address, get their phone numbers. The tutors in there are students, so like it's going to be easier to communicate with them and things like that. You can plan study habits or study hours outside of the Resource Center hours. Also talk to Miss Bethany. She's over the Biology Resource Center, and she can give you study tips, how to study, what to study, give you extra resources outside of what the tutors have who are students. She has extra resources. So utilize your resource centers, and that's for everything: biology, chemistry, organic, math, any coding for computer science. Make sure you're using your resource centers, because that's going to help you and stuff, because someone in there is going to know. Someone in there is going to help you understand this material, so you don't have to feel defeated.
Most definitely. I actually had twins that were my tutors in the math lab my freshman year. That was like 11 years ago, so don't try and figure out my age. But Jordan, what about resources for you? What have you tapped into since you've been here?
I think mine is going to be a mix of what Elisa and Jared said. Definitely my advisor. I love my advisor to death. I feel like things reached out to people like that, and even like whenever you need me, I'll be there. And I really, really adore her for that, because, you know, like I said, I'm from California, coming all the way out here. I do have family in New Orleans, but, like, you know, I'm coming so far. And, you know, sometimes you think, okay, I'm alone. I have nobody like else. You know, I don't have any friends here. And it's really just like Xavier's community is built to set you up, like, the best way possible. And like Elisa said, please, please, please get in contact with your teachers. Like, I had a biology teacher my sophomore year teaching me Bio 1240, and Professor Davenport. I don't know if you guys know who that is. And when I tell you, I asked this man one question, and he answered questions that I didn't even have yet to like the fullest extent. He set me up so well. Professor DiMaggio, one of my favorite organic chemistry teachers, she literally will sit down with you in her office hours and like make sure that you understand everything before you leave. And if you don't, she's like, don't be afraid to ask questions. Please, please ask me. I'll do anything that I can. And I think what students need to realize is, like, yes, these are teachers, yes, these are our professors, and, like, you know, this is their job, but they're people, too. They understand that we're all students. We all have personal lives. It's stresses coming from home, personal, school. They understand that, you know, sometimes we need that little extra bit of help, and they have no problem giving it to you. But you have to, you know, show the initiative that you want that help. First day of school, email your teachers after class. Let them know your face, your name. You know, like Elisa said, go to office hours. Ask those questions. Do not be afraid to ask questions, because that's a mistake I made my freshman year. And ever since then, I've never done it again. I ask every single question no matter what, because I've always been told there's no such thing as stupid questions at all.
Exactly, exactly. And so lastly, yeah?
So being in the mass communications major, there's not as many like open resources like the Bio Resource Center, because it's like it's a subjective major. Like liberal arts are pretty subjective, so it's not like I can go and like ask for a formula to figure out how to broadcast news. Like that's not that's not how that works. So I would definitely say my biggest resource are my classmates, because no one else really understands what you're going through except the other 10, 12 people in my class, and so they're definitely my biggest resources. As in the class of 2023, there's only 5 people who started off in our major, transfers and everything. Me and help me the camera. So really, like my class, get their number. Class, they can really be your
things, or one time or another, was to get to know you do not know once you get to college who is a professor that's there to mentor you throughout your entire time at Xavier. So make sure that you get to know your advisor really well. Depending on your major, you may be required to go and see them at least once a week. I remember when I was here, that was a requirement. We kind of make sure as well. And then lastly, those are going to be tested, be the lifelong free. So academics here at Xavier. What was Xavier like pre-COVID, during COVID? And then now, Lisa over here.
Longest, so stuff like that. Young age, so I got to see vibe. Then coming here, family orientated, big tours like 50. They're coming and stuff, and having kind of stuff, homecoming concerts. We were all having fun. It was those experiences, you know, like going to the room in the NCF to take your bio exams, and everybody, all the jittery energy and scared and stuff. And COVID hits, and it's like, first week we were excited. We'll have school for 2 weeks. Boom, man. I'm happy. I'm excited. I just came off a campaign, and I was excited. Like I was in runoffs and things like that. I was excited. Break. Then it got boring. I got sad. I missed my Vanguard and stuff. They were 12 different. There were so many. Being here a year later in spring, we're getting back to normal. Spring Fest is coming up this week. We're having 4 days of Spring Fest. 3 of those days are in person. 1 of those days are virtual, which is our concert and things like that. So like seeing that we're slowly getting back towards again, we might be limited to how many. Friday, something that used to be come back through the pharmacy students. We were all in the yard. You got your event pass, you sign up for this time and things like that. So it's more so of getting your friends to go at that time to still have that experience, but just smaller things. But I'm really excited for Spring Fest. I'm ready for Sunday's event to be with all my friends and stuff, seeing everybody. We're like slowly getting back into the groove, but safe. Xavier's all about safety, so safety first.
Yes. Gotta keep it safe. So before we move on to someone else, I wanted to ask you, browser. Explain LAGNIAPPE.
You will go to pull you into the bright space. You have to show your face in view. Then you will have to take your ID. Show your ID in view.
Your environment.
If it's not perfect, if they see something moving, it's not gonna start your test. Your test in your will know that test. Then don't worry. Like you're gonna. If you struggle with test anxiety and nervous system, that camera, don't.
part of my
like the most stressful thing ever.
So you all talk about it, and I had my. So obviously they've updated.
Out of the whole test.
like,
Gotcha.
Area that you're taking.
Those teachers.
Yes.
Very
Talking about yet a lot as possible. So next person, Jared, tell us about your
Pre-COVID, since I'm from here, I've always liked just showing out my friends. Hey, let's go out and do this. Oh, you know, Strawberry Fest is coming up. Crawfish Festival is coming up. Fried chicken. One weekend, let's do this, that, and then in so many different clubs. Old Vanguard. And then COVID said don't have to get up any. And then it's just went downhill. Our school tried with, and so now getting doing some students have to do daily check-ins and health assessments and stuff like that, which can be a little bit. Every morning.
President will email
that allow. We'll see, and I appreciate this while allowing before, so that we experience something that's a.
So COVID or during COVID. Could you explain?
What you do? That is a loaded.
You involved at Xavier?
So involved as the people. We do things. Kind of, we would have been. That's the kind of group. So like student ambassador. So I'm vice president of that. I currently serve as the 2020-2021 Miss Sophomore of Xavier University. 6 of the Victoria's Secret. And I'm also a brand ambassador. Oh, and I'm also COVID. Post-COVID, nothing really has changed much. Everything, it was mostly like doing in-person to high school students. 1 tour a week instead of cheer. That was did 19 times every single week. That's probably the biggest change with cheer. With Royal Court, we weren't able to have as many events as we would like. So homecoming was definitely modified. Sophomore week was definitely modified. Spring Fest coming up is going to be modified. What else? with Pink, with my ambassador programs, usually I'd be able to give out stuff, like have events in person.
The free Starbucks is amazing.
Yes,
I
we do
love
a lot
y'all
of
for that.
online giveaways and events now. So it's really just like finding ways involved and excited about events, hosting or planning. The biggest advice to anyone coming would definitely be make sure that you're not spread. You don't ever have time for procrastinating. Like there's really no doubt. Maybe 2 things.
Or 11.
Yeah.
Yeah. Involved in currently?
So surprisingly enough, I've actually gotten the most involved at Xavier between pre-COVID and like post-COVID right now. Starting like have also serve as the executive assistant, as well as a new elected 2020. So I think the biggest thing in like pre we and stuff like that. My peering family. You know, like I said, I love and like, you know, this experience just as enjoyable. Get people involved, trying to get everybody to, you know, come to the events that we could have in person, getting them to come to the online events. You know, it was a little family from this, like, you know, those back to back to back going up. I feel like, you know, doing the, I would love to do in person. Lisa and Jared have said, like, you know, being is like the, I feel like in person at our school. I'm proud to talk about Xavier and feeling once you come here. Really getting into SG and you know, a lot, making sure that I could do virtual and like making sure that I could get my platform out to campaign season. Everybody, the trees, you know, come do that, made it all. And like I said, you know, I had to make sure my platform and things of that board and like so. An experience is what everybody wants. That experience that you guys are at least getting back to normal. I will get that.
Definitely. So painting. Live chat. I'm becoming a. Explain virtual.
Yes, okay. Twitter.
But too, like being in his campaign. Twitter wars is always going to be.
Took over the majority. January 1st hit. You have your campaign manager, our lovely Constitution. Branch back. Take that test. Once you pass that, to getting your flyers, all of your back in December, and getting everything together was execute. Getting your team together, making could tell you. Making sure you have those hashtags, you know, making things like that. So it takes a lot of planning, but it is fun at the end of the day. It is fun. Like I said, I don't want to scare y'all and make it seem like, oh my God, this sounds like, don't. Because that was me back in December. And I had people like Emmanuel in my ear, like, you know, don't do that. Don't let nobody put fear into your plans. If you want to do it, then do it. And I came out on top. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
Also, like, being a campaign manager on the campaign team, it's a lot. It is a lot, like, especially in person when you have flyers at South, at Pharmacy, at St. Joe's, in the dorms and stuff. I would be like a chicken. I have to be down by 4 o'clock. It is a lot of and making ops on your team, making sure is a lot. Not gonna lie, it is a lot. And I love our president. I'm not gonna lie, I love Emmanuel, but like on the campaign February, and then some runoff out of you and things like that. I regret helping and seeing him.
Hashtag
seeing him apply. Now she's like, and how she has grown. Jordan's gonna grow and things like that. Organizations I'm in, but I love know the platforms they stand for and things like that. I know the hard work, I know the long hours, I know the 2 a.m. calls, I know all of that. So like, if you're gonna do it, make sure you're not doing it because it's not a popularity competition. Like, that's not what it here is at Xavier. Like, it's the work you've done. It's what you've done since freshman year. It's what your values are, what you're gonna stand on. So like, if you're gonna run, make sure you're running to better Xavier, not running to run for, oh, I'm a sophomore. For the sash. Yeah, for the sash. Like,
Don't run for the crowd.
Don't run, yeah. It was a few people. It was. Yeah, it was. It was. Homecoming. It was fun. Like that, and make sure when you whatever your actions are, when you go out, if they see anything, your title can be taken away from you. So just be aware.
Representation. Since we're on.
Yes,
so
Mr. Xavier.
Mr. Xavier, for this upcoming year, he's a part of the Vanguard Association. You all will actually see him a little bit later, so I'll leave that for you all to ask. Well, first of all, at that 20 minutes that are questions that you would like to ask something for next year when you're, or actually for later this year. Ask those questions now. And so while you all do that, I have is primarily everyone kind of has like that professor for them in college. And I have.
In what connotation?
Okay.
Yes.
Good answer.
Always
Good
that,
answer.
there's always like
Yes.
that professor, like that professor.
Yes. Thank you for that clarification. So that professor that helps you with everything, even if it has nothing to do with them. That professor that's like your go-to professor. And so I actually start with you. So who's your go-to professor?
Monica Pierre. Love that lady so much. Oh my gosh.
And also, what does she teach? Let us know all the details.
She teaches everything. Okay, so in the mass communications department, there's only I kind of help out before who like. Oh, she. Right now, I'm in TV. Intermediate converge. She still has a multiple times practice as a radio. Amazing person ever. So she knows what's happening. Game, know the internship that I got actually my PR firm in New Orleans. Well, in the shout out to them, love them. She's just helped. She's definitely it. Like my teacher friend. Xavier bestie life and like an act.
And before we move to the next Texas.
Oh, have her on Snapchat.
So, I want to Jared.
So that goes to perfection. When it comes to Dr. Davis Haley, just because. So, residency should I go into? My career choices and even graduate opportunities. Like, start looking into theology. It is Amy, my advisor. So west of like information classes for myself, and I feed off of how they here, and I'll study. I want to be up there and guide people. As far as non-academic, like, so I'm always just in there making, even didn't know that I was even looking into admissions counselor, like, after graduation. I have been considered this, actually.
You don't have to leave them alone.
Still work here.
Like, I probably.
I text Tracer all the time. She probably gets.
Or admissions phase.
Yeah, yes, indeed. Our virtual campus tours, also our in-person campus tours, they're kind of tour that schedule that you can register for, and which tour. So I know that we're rounding out towards the end. So for those of you that have lived both pre-COVID and now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I will say for me, pre-COVID, as a freshman, I stayed at I was at St. Martin de Porres. Student housing, apartment housing. Asked me about here. And, you know, you have a space with somebody, but honestly, all of my classmates, like, we would just have days that on the first floor studying for bio. So incoming students stay to, you know, you might be spaced out, however. You guys keep hearing me say family in the classroom.
Students and things like that, especially freshmen. We used to do cross competitions from KD and the mics. We used to have the dorm competitions and
The
things
step
like
competition.
that. The step competitions, like all of that. Even if you're a commuter student, you can still experience that. Like I was fortunate enough that my friend who I had classes with, like every class with, and then my friend from high school happened to dorm together. So I was always in KD. I was always staying in there. Get ready and stuff like that and stuff. So like on campus, I still had the opportunity to live on campus. I've been through all 4 dorms and things like that. Especially in DP, co-ed with your friends and just be hanging out. Still get and Jared are from New Orleans. KD is always going to be home. The dry erase, like the chalkboard walls in the hallway, the game rooms, like upstairs on the 6th floor. There's the
they got a foosball
the
table.
foosball table. Yeah. And then like in the mics and stuff like that, their lobby is the best lobby. I'm
Like,
so
arcade.
For all of our guys, I stayed in St. Mike's my freshman year. You will hear everybody else talk down on St. Mike's. It has the most camaraderie. It has. You'll see everybody coming from DP, coming from the Living Learning Center, come in our lobby, use our ping pong table, be laying up on our couches because we have the most fun. We have the most fun. We have when we had the dorm competitions, St. Mike's won 3 years in a row. So
here we go.
So I just want to let y'all know, for our guys, please come on campus. Please join the St. Mike's family. We still talk in our group chats to this day. Like, I swear to you.
Shout out to all the St. Mike's alumni.
Y'all are there's a lot of y'all.
Yes, indeed. And that's the funny thing. It's a guys' residence hall, and so, as you all know, there aren't as many guys as there are ladies on campus. But you know, St. Mike's, we dominate, kind of, sort of.
Y'all don't have no elevator though.
Builds character. That whole building builds character.
It builds character and it builds calf muscles too. So yeah. And actually, I'm very reminiscent. Dorm Step Off. I miss Dorm Step Off so much.
Hopefully we can bring it back.
Yes,
I hope
indeed.
so. That was nice.
Yeah. But as we begin to round out, we have about 5 minutes left, and I want to ask 2 more questions before we end. And so, one question, and so quick responses. Roughly about 30 minutes. I'm sorry, 30 seconds. And so the first question that I'd like to ask is,
going to how gonna, like I said, program plan. Program, it's research and planning.
Gotcha.
Law school, either at Tulane. You will
Back home and doing a post-bac program, actually at my first choice college, UC Davis. Said hopefully in the next 5.
Have one of our Vanguard.
Oh, wow. For me, more Xavier to teach.
Perfect. Is a piece of advice on that for a few before you came to you would give yourself. What would you tell yourself? What would you tell yourself in?
It's gonna sound really silly. Allergic to seafood. Right? Actions I had. Other than that, I would not change my Xavier experience. I would tell myself to
have fun, honestly. Which is a high school. It was different from study and things, my false. I've been lit. So have fun.
Fun. Cool.
Say, be prepared for the. What I did was fun. And stuff like that because I was like, I'm from here. I know it's a party city. Experience that.
You would be a tour guide.
I could
For me, my biggest thing I probably would have told that meeting, go to that interest meeting. Want to set your mind to. I'm a junior now, and I just same thing as and like Lisa and Jared said. I wouldn't change my experience, but definitely put yourself out there. Fear into your plans because you are successful throughout. Got it.
So. Did say yes, taking time out of your busy schedules of fun and balance. The next generation of Xavier.
I graduated like
25.
Yep, my sister's the next.
You all, I know that you all have this evening as well, catching this live. Giveaways. We especially on the last night, your chance to win some free or directly in front of me. Can't even see everything. Paraphernalia. And so post meaning one. It's on screen right now. So yourself, selfie, t-shirt, or if you letter if you want to. Yeah, we want to see you. We want to, meaning XULA, elevate. One. EE. All right. Here at Xavier University of Louisiana. Reach out to our office 7388, or you can email all of you xula.edu. Become a student 21 semester. So more giveaways because tomorrow and Wednesday, and then on Thursday.
We're done.
University of Louisiana. I hope to attend dental school. And narrowing down which college I would like, college of choice. I also knew that this great institution would provide me with the necessary resources for all of my future endeavors. Be sure to tune in tomorrow to hear more about our academic departments and also
1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, ready, and